Here's something most people have never tried. You have goals. You probably have a list somewhere. Maybe it's on your phone, maybe it's on a sticky note, maybe it's just living in your head. And if you're honest, that list has been sitting in roughly the same place for a while. What if you could paste it into Claude and get back an actual plan? A sequenced, phased, realistic 90-day plan with an honest look at what's too much and 3 specific actions for week 1. That's what we're going to do today. And the part that catches most people off guard is not the plan itself. It's what Claude tells you about what is not going to fit. Most people are good at the knowing part. They know what they want to accomplish. They know what quarter it is. They know what needs to change. The hard part is the gap between knowing and doing. Turning a list of goals into something with a real sequence, realistic scope, and a place to start is a completely different skill than setting the goals in the first place. That gap is where most good intentions end up. You write down the goals, you feel the momentum of having written them down, and then week 1 arrives and nothing has a clear starting point. So you keep going. And 4 weeks later, the list looks exactly the same. The goals were fine. What was missing was the plan underneath them. This is a pattern almost every business owner recognizes. You set the goals. You feel good about the list. Week 1 arrives and there's no clear starting point. Week 4, the list is the exact same. It's not a motivation problem. It's not a discipline problem. It's a sequencing problem. Nobody told you what to do first. Nobody told you what depends on what. And nobody told you that 2 of the things on your list are competing for the same time, and one of them's going to lose. That's the work most people skip. And it's exactly the work Claude is about to do. There are 3 questions that turn a goal into a plan. What has to happen first? What depends on what? And what is actually too much given everything else on the list? Most people answer the first 2 with their gut and skip the third one entirely. But that third one is the one that matters most because it's not about ambition, it's about reality. And when you skip it, the plan looks great on paper and falls apart in week 2. Order matters more than ambition. Some goals unlock others. And the reality check that most people avoid is exactly what the prompt is built to force. This kind of structured planning work is what business coaches and consultants get paid for. $200 to $500 an hour for a coach, more for a consultant. And most of the time, that access is out of reach for small business owners who are already doing most of the work themselves. So most small business owners skip it. They figure it out as they go. They learn from the gaps after they surface instead of before. And it's not a failure of ambition. It's a resource gap. And it's one of the places where AI closes the distance in a way that actually matters. Here's what makes this different from just asking AI to make you a to do list. You describe what you want to accomplish, your goals, your timeline, your constraints. Plain language, no special format. Claude builds a phased plan that sequences the work so each phase builds on the last. And then it tells you what's too much. And the second part is one most people don't expect. Most people go into this hoping for validation. What they get instead is an honest read on what cannot fit given everything else on the list. That's the part that makes the output actually useful. The input is simpler than most people expect. A plain paragraph describing your goals for the quarter, any constraints worth knowing, team size, time available, what's already in motion. That's it. You don't need a formatted outline. You don't need to organize it first. Write it the way you would explain to someone you trust. Be honest about what you're working with. The more real the input, the more useful the output. We're about to paste in a landscaping business owner's version of that paragraph. Spring growth targets, a new service package, a follow up system, and a scheduling fix, all with one part time employee and a tight timeline. Pay attention to what Claude does with the constraints. Before we run the demo, it's worth understanding what the prompt is actually built to do, because the output quality comes from the structure of the system prompt, not from how well you write your paragraph. The prompt does 3 things. It reframes the goal. what you are actually trying to accomplish, stripped of the optimism. It sequences the work so the phases build on each other logically, and it names what's too much given everything else on the list. That third one is the most important. The system prompt specifically instructs Claude to identify what cannot fit in 90 days given the constraints. That instruction is what separates this from a generic planning exercise. One thing worth saying before we run this. This works regardless of industry, team size, or how organized you naturally are. The landscaping example we used is specific enough to feel real, but the prompt works the same way for a retail owner, a freelancer, a service business, a solo operator. The input scales with whoever is typing it. You don't need to be a planner to get value for this. You just need to be honest about what you're working with. The structure comes back from Claude. You just have to show up with the truth about your situation. Before we paste this in, here's what to watch for. Claude's going to return 4 sections. The first section reframes what success in 90 days actually requires, not what was said, what it actually means given the constraints. The second section is the 90-day plan itself, broken into 3 30-day phases. Each phase has a focus and specific priorities. The third section is the one to pay attention to. It names what is too much, what comes off the list. That's where the honest pushback lives. The fourth section is week one only. 3 specific actions, not a general direction, actual starting moves. Let's get into Claude and run it. Here's the system prompt we're going to be working with. You are a 90-day planning partner. Your job is to turn a person's stated goals into a structured, realistic plan they can actually execute. Return exactly 4 sections. What you're actually trying to do. Reframe the stated goal in 1 or 2 sentences. Strip away the optimism and name what success in 90 days actually requires. Your 90-day plan. Break the plan into 3 30-day phases. Each phase gets a 1 line focus statement and 3 to 5 specific priorities. Be sequential so what gets done in phase 1 makes phase 2 possible. What needs to come off the list? Identify 1 or 2 goals or assumptions from what was shared that are not realistic in 90 days given everything else on the list. Name them directly and explain why. Where to start? Week 1. Give 3 specific actions for the first week only. These should be the highest leverage moves that create momentum for everything else. No encouragement. No filler, no great goals. Return the 4 sections and nothing else. Let's go ahead and give this to Claude. Ready to build our 90-day plan. So here's the user input we're going to use for this demo. I want to grow my landscaping business this spring. My main goals are to add 5 new recurring lawn care clients, launch a seasonal cleanup package, get better at following up with leads, and finally get a simple system in place for scheduling so I can stop losing track of jobs. I have 1 part-time employee and I'm doing most of the work myself. Spring is already starting, so I need to move fast. Let's see what we get back. What you're actually trying to do. You need to stop operating like a one-man crew running on memory and start running a small business with repeatable systems, while simultaneously selling, doing the work, and managing someone else. Your 90-day plan. Phase 1, days 1 through 30, stop the bleeding, get the package out, fix what's losing you money before you add volume. Phase 2, sell and deliver without dropping anything. The system's in place, now push volume through it. Phase 3, lock in recurring revenue and assess capacity. Convert one-time cleanup clients into recurring contracts. What needs to come off the list? Getting better at follow-up as a mindset goal. You don't have a motivation problem, you have no system. Launching the cleanup package and chasing 5 new recurring clients simultaneously from day 1. If you try to sell recurring contracts before the cleanup package is defined and the scheduling system exists, you'll book jobs you can't track, deliver inconsistently, and burn the relationships you need. Where to start? Week 1. Choose and set up your scheduling tool in 1 sitting. Write the cleanup package on 1 page. And text or call 10 people by the end of the week. Take a moment with the output before moving on. Read section 3 carefully. That's the part that feels uncomfortable and it's usually the most accurate. What just happened is worth sitting for a second. Claude took a plain paragraph, the kind you could write in 2 minutes, and returned a sequenced plan with phases and actually built on each other. Honest pushback on what cannot fit, and a specific starting point for week one. The reframe in section one almost never matches what the person thought the plan was about. Most people expect Claude to validate the list. What comes back instead is a 2 sentence read on what success actually requires given the restraints. That landing is different every time, and it's almost always accurate. The section 3 finding, what comes off the list, is the one that creates the most pause. It's not criticism, it's just honest prioritization. The kind a coach would give you after an hour of conversation, returned in under a minute from a paragraph. But here's where you come back in. Claude built that plan from what you gave it. It doesn't know your cash position. It doesn't know what your part time employee can actually handle week to week. It doesn't know what happened last spring, or which clients are your best relationships, or what you promised someone last month. You read the output with all of that context. Some of it will fit exactly, some of it will need adjusting. The Section 3 finding might be something you've already solved, or it might name something you've been avoiding. The framework is Claude's, the judgment is yours. And that's the right division of labor. If you have goals sitting on your list right now that have not turned into anything yet, try it today. Write a plain paragraph, paste in the system prompt, see what comes back in section one. That reframe alone is usually worth the 2 minutes it takes. And if you want help figuring out where AI fits into how your business actually runs, that's what we do at Eau Claire AI. Reach out at eauclaireai.com and let's have a conversation. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to keep seeing what AI can actually do. We've got new videos every week. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.